Hi, we're Byron and Liz Bungey, and we farm 20 kilometres southwest of Borden in the southern area of Western Australia, and we run a mixed grazing, sheep production and grain production property.
Our rainfall at the moment is supposedly 375. Recently it's been a lot short of that, more like 350 mil. Our grain production mainly is based on cereals with canola and lupins. We do grow vetches and a grazing wheat wedgetail, which we find very good for the sheep, which we run approximately upwards of 2,000 breeders, but mainly around about 1,500 mated to Sam's. Lambing percentage has been excellent over the last 5 years, around about 100%. With all our grazing either done on country left out, subterranean pastures with wedgetail and a lot of perennial pastures and tagasastes, which will get us through the autumn feed gap. Ta-da!
Well done.
That was really good.
Yeah, definitely the decrease in rainfall has meant that we've had to change the way we look at our program. We've had to be very flexible with our decisions, be willing to change our cropping rotations, change them as the season unfolds. Spraying, especially summer weed control, that's really important to conserve moisture. Looking at your varieties, long and short season, even things such as canola in the program, you might need to drop that off if need be. Fertiliser, the timing and rate of application depending on the season. Making use of technology, we've found very much that we need to make every post a winner. So in recent years, I guess you'd say we've really upped our use of what's out there in the way of technology.
Liz, I get from that you have to be ready for action a little more quickly than you used to be?
Always preparing for that next part of the season, I guess. Even at harvest time, you're preparing for next year's seeding. Things such as the buying of your fertiliser. Fertiliser companies now have brought forward their deals with fertiliser purchasing. You know, even in September, October, you're now making decisions as to what fertiliser and quantities that you'll be buying in the next year, if you want to make the most of getting some discounts. So yeah, I guess you're always sort of 6-9 months ahead in your preparation for the following season.
Have you seen a bigger incidence of summer rainfall in the Borden area?
It's a bit hit and miss, really. Our area is quite unique, I suppose, in that you don't have to travel very far before you can head north and into some very dry areas. You can head southeast and you get that influence of the blowback from the southeast coast and sort of drizzle and thunderstorms. So some areas have benefited from quite good summer rainfall, and other areas can miss out completely along the way.
How have you utilised some of that summer rainfall? I think of early canola crops, I think of lucerne, or I think of perennial pastures. What are you doing?
Yeah, we've planted quite a lot of perennials. We've had good results with chicory, ceradella, veldtgrass, vetches. We've used them for grazing and brown manuring. And also we've made use of a variety of grazing wheat called wedgetail, which particularly last year was of benefit to us when it was a tight year for feed for our sheep and lambs, and so we were able to graze that a few times and then still harvest a reasonable crop at the end.
A way of overcoming that autumn-winter feed gap.
Yeah, that's right.
And how were yields from the wedgetail last year?
Yeah, that was quite reasonable, considering that we did graze it twice and quite heavily, and then the finish for the year wasn't very kind to us in that we definitely lacked the final rainfall for the season to finish our crops off.
Tell us a little about your prime lamb enterprise.
Yeah, we have 1,400 breeders. They're merino ewes, and we cross them with Sam rams. We lamb down in April. We aim to have our lambs off in that September-October period. Years such as last year, that wasn't the case. We have a small feedlot which we use for confinement feeding when we want to finish them. We also have lick feeders which we use out in the paddock for our ewes to carry them over the summer months, especially once they're in lamb and once they have lambed, to keep them in good condition and to provide good milk for the lambs.
Liz, you mentioned earlier weed management and keeping weeds off the paddocks that you're going to crop to retain moisture. So that's a spraying program, and that occurs after summer rain, I take it.
Sometimes we can use the sheep as well, move them in for a quick time frame to eat out those weeds, and then move them on before there's any vulnerability in the paddock to wind erosion.
And you found that moisture conservation to be most important to your following crop?
Extremely important. Often we find that it'll only take 5 or 10 mil of rain later on, and that moisture gap decreases, and the topsoil moisture starts to meet up with that bottom moisture, and it makes it far more profitable or beneficial sort of scenario to start seeding into.